Hey loves, welcome back to the channel. In our previous video we drafted out the patterns that we are going to be needing for this tutorial. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that. This is the continuation video part 2, which is the sewing video. So these are all the pieces, all the pattern pieces we cut out. So we're going to start by sewing the lower part of the dress, which is the flare part. We want to go ahead and serge the bottom part of this flare. That's if you have a serger. If you don't have a serger, then you can double fold it. So now for the bottom part, which is the tiered piece, if you had enough fabric to cut this out as one straight fabric, you can skip this process. But this is me just joining all three pieces of the lower tier to create one straight piece. Next, you want to go ahead and double fold both sides of this piece. Next, you want to go ahead and place the lower tier onto the flare with about ½ inch above so you can stitch it on it. But before that, go ahead and locate the middle of the flare, both sides of the flare, and the both center back of the flare, and the same for the straight piece. So to achieve that, you just want to place your fabrics on fold 4 times. You want to fold it 4 times so you can get both sides and the middle. Now you want to match all markings together by placing the wrong side of the bottom tier, the straight tier piece, on the front side, the right side of the flare, and just pin all the point markings together. So now the excess fabric on the straight piece is what you are going to be ruching or gathering onto the available space between the two pin points. This whole process is to ensure accuracy, so you have the exact same amount to ruch on each side so you can even out your fabric well. So after that, you want to go ahead and sew it, and this is a clip of me just ironing it after sewing. Moving on, you want to take the longest part of the bustier piece and sew 2 loose lines along the top and the bottom edge. Now you're going to pull on the strings to reach it down. Note you are pulling one of each thread on each line. So since you're having 2 lines and you have 4 threading, you are pulling the 2 top thread lines. I don't know if that makes sense. You're not pulling everything. If you're pulling everything, you won't be able to reach it down. So I hope this tip is helpful. So in case you haven't noticed, at the end of each routine, you want to tie your thread, you want to tie a knot to prevent it from unraveling. So if you look very closely, you will notice that I'm actually leaving free space at the sides of these gathers. That free space is actually the allowance for the sewing, which is 1 inch at the 2 down sides and ½ inch at the 2 top sides. So now that it has been ruched down to be the same size with the upper piece, you want to place right sides together and sew ½ inch along the top edge. Now you want to top stitch to the side that serves as the facing. You want to sew a very close line to the sewn line before. After that, flip over to the right side and stitch along the remaining edges to hold everything in place. So now you want to go ahead and iron. After ironing, now you want to attach the waistband to the bustier piece, placing right sides together. Sew with ½ inch. And that's it for the front piece. Now moving on to the back piece. You want to go ahead and double fold or serge the bottom part of your facing. For me, I serged mine. Remember the 2 notches we made while we were drafting this pattern? You want to fold right sides together and sew ½ inch along from one notch marking to the other and iron it out. Now placing right sides of the facing to the right side of the back piece, you want to sew ½ inch along the top edge of this piece. After sewing, you want to top stitch it to the side that serves as facing. So want to top stitch it to the facing. So now you want to stitch down the remaining edges to hold everything in place. Repeat this entire process for the other side of the back. And that's it for the back piece. Now moving on to the sleeves. You want to double fold the bottom edge of the sleeve to create tunnels for elastic. To get your measurement for elastic, you want to divide your round curve by 2 and include 1 inch for seam allowance, and then cut that out on your elastic. Then using a safety pin, you want to pass that through the tunnel. Make sure to pin in place to avoid unraveling. So after stitching in place, this is what you have. Now you want to go ahead and place the right side of each sleeve to the right side of the bustier piece. So with 1/2 inch. Now you want to sew the other sides of each sleeve to the back armhole and stitch with 1/2 inch. So now you want to weave from one armhole to the other along the sleeve line on both sleeves. But if you don't have a weaving machine or a serger, you can go ahead and double fold only the sleeve part and sew that down to create a tunnel for elastic. But if you have a serger, you can go ahead and weave the entire thing and then stitch down to create the tunnel. So after stitching it down, this is what it should look like. Now to get the measurement for your elastic for this shoulder line, you want to measure from one edge to the other and divide what you have by 2 and add 1 inch for stitching allowance. Using a safety pin, you want to feed each elastic through their tunnels. Make sure to pin down each elastic on each edge to avoid unraveling. Now you want to stitch it down on both sides as you see me doing here in the video. Repeat this entire process onto the other side. Now you want to place the right sides of the back and front together and pin in place. Pin at the waistline, pin at the armhole, and at the sleeve. Then you also want to pin down your zipper allowance. Now you want to sew along the edge with the amount of allowance you placed while you were cutting out your fabric. Now that you are done with the upper piece, you want to attach it to the lower part of the dress, which is the skirt part, the flare skirt part. Make sure to notch at the middle of both pieces and pin in place. You want to sew and serge half an inch along the waistline, and this is what it should look like. Now to sew the back zipper allowance, you want to come down from the waistline by 7 inches, a 7 inches opening, and mark at that point. From that marking, you want to mark 1 inch all the way down to the end of the skirt or dress rather, and sew along the line. Now you want to go ahead and install the zipper. So to avoid gaping at the waistline, we want to use the sway method. The sway method is just going in at the waistline with 1 inch. So reducing your allowance at the waistline with 1 inch so that it does not gape. Now you want to go ahead and top stitch both top parts of your zipper. So this is what I was talking about earlier about the sway method. This is what it looks like. You can see the allowance at the waistline, it's much more bigger than the allowance at the other parts of the zip. So this is to ensure that it does not gape at the waistline. And that's it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you for staying up until the end of this tutorial. I really hope you find this useful and helpful. Kindly like, comment, share, and subscribe, and comment down below what you thought about this tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye.